What up? Welcome back. Episode 7 of the Golden Era recaps. We're on the 24-25 season. This is the summer of 2024 is one of the most monumental summers in this universe. It is completely landscape changing. It leads to a number of championships, influences a number of championships down the line. And the irony of it is it starts with a draft class that's pretty mediocre. Not an elite player on this class. As of 2033, there's only 3 All-Stars taken 10th, 15th, and 21st. And the 2 that were at 15 and 21, who we'll get to, they're pretty fringe. So this is not an elite class by any stretch of the imagination, but the summer during off-season or during the free agency period is what completely reshapes the NBA. So let's start with the NBA draft lottery first and foremost. So the top 5 odds: Washington, OKC, Phoenix, Cleveland, and Charlotte, all of them owning their own picks. But keep in mind, we get some movement. This is the last pick. As you see here on the screen, the Pelicans are going to jump from 13 to 1. Golden State goes from 6 to 3. And then Oklahoma City, they stay at number 2, but that's a pick that they get via Houston. So a couple notes on that. The Pelicans pick, that was the last pick from the Anthony Davis deal. That obviously went 13 all the way up to 1. The Thunder pick, that's the last pick from the CP3 deal. And then the Warriors, they have the Orlando Magic first-round pick here because they got that in the 2024 trade or the 2021 trade for Aaron Gordon. So you get 3 teams that move up that are all very much a contender right now, and in a draft class that doesn't have a lot of elite talent. The sense immediately around the league is that these picks are probably going to be maybe on the move. Keep this in mind here for Houston, right? Since 2021, the Rockets have used just one of their first-round picks, despite them being number 2 in 2021. Their own pick went number 2020. Their own pick went number 2 in 21. That's Cade Cunningham to Oklahoma City. In 23, their pick was 8th. That's Kane Sampson to Minnesota. That later gets dealt to Charlotte. It's really not a great pick, but R.J. Wallace, who's going to really emerge as a great defensive piece, was taken 1 pick after, and then now here we are. Their pick goes number 2 again in, a class that's not elite, but still Houston has no ability to build their roster. It's why they're kind of falling apart. So before we even get to the draft itself, some pre-draft movement. Giannis, after some struggles in Milwaukee, demands a trade. Since making the finals in 21, they lost in the first round of the playoffs 2 straight years, and then last season in 23 to 24, they won just 40 games, missed the playoffs. So Giannis says he's got 1 year left. He's looking to leave. He wouldn't be alone. The Bucks had their recent struggles, as did the Sixers, who had been going through some rough times. They had just won 40 games the season before as well. They've won just 1 series over Milwaukee in the first round since 2020. That led to rumblings about both Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, an actual legitimate Ben Simmons in this universe, wanting out as well. And then there's another one, DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix. He's kind of circling around the wagon. Does he want to move on? No real trade rumors or demands at least, but there's rumors that he wants out. So you want to talk about sliding doors. A summer before, Jason Sanders, a Phoenix native, entered the draft for the Suns, had the best odds of getting him. Phoenix falls to 3. Last season they trade away Devin Booker, and now they're dealing with the potential of a DeAndre Ayton trade. We're still not done. We got one more. Let's go to Sacramento, where they had built nothing around De'Aaron Fox. He's ready to move on. And then James Harden with the aforementioned Rockets, he's looking to move on as well. So you've got 5 huge names. You've got Giannis, 6 if you want to throw Ben Simmons, which you should. So you've got Giannis, you've got Ben Simmons, you got Joel Embiid, you've got DeAndre Ayton, you got De'Aaron Fox, and you've got James Harden. All of them looking to move on. Giannis is going to be the first domino to fall. He's going to depart in a deal to Denver. Denver swings the deal with MPJ and Bradley Beal. They got the last season along with first in 26 and 28 and swaps in 27 and 29. All for Giannis on an expiring. This ends up being a pretty ballsy move for Denver to go all in for Giannis. Pelicans, meanwhile, they send the first overall pick to Sacramento. That brings in De'Aaron Fox. The second overall pick gets sent to Phoenix. That's for DeAndre Ayton. So Ayton heads to Oklahoma City to pair up with Cade Cunningham. That's the second and the 24th overall pick, plus a future first. Of course, the Pelicans with a pretty stacked roster there with the first pick. Meanwhile, third overall pick, the Warriors, Nets, and Sixers complete a three-team deal. That's going to send Ben Simmons from the Sixers all the way to Golden State. Golden State also gets the 15th overall pick in the draft. The Nets get Miles Turner, who the Warriors got in the Andrew Wiggins deal, plus a future second. And the Sixers get the third overall pick, plus Aaron Gordon from the Warriors, as well as Bojan Bogdanovic. Bogdanovic is going to get traded later on, but the Sixers then complete the teardown. They ship Embiid to Utah, so Utah's now got Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid. The Sixers get Andre Drummond kind of at the tail end of his career. Next, the Mavericks, they say, hey, we're going to keep James Harden in Texas, and they're going to go out. They get James Harden. It's a pretty mediocre deal. The big piece of that is the 18th overall pick, if you want to call it that, plus Seth Curry and Malik Beasley. So massive change. So you got Denver built around international talent with Giannis, Jokic, and Murray. The Thunder and the Pelicans go young. Oklahoma City's got Shea, Cade, and Ayton. New Orleans has got Zion, Ingram, and Fox. Luka and Harden now trying to pair up in Texas. You got Kristaps Porzingis rounding out that top three. The Jazz are going all in. It's Donovan Mitchell, it's Embiid, and it's Collins. And then the Warriors reloading with Ben Simmons to be the focal point of their future. Curry, Clay, and Simmons. Look, this was a completely restructured NBA now after this point. All of it changes with the summer of 24. Like I said, it completely changes the outcome of this league. Move on to the actual draft itself. Marcel Hampton ends up going number 1. That's obviously traded to Sacramento. Nathan Servin heads to Phoenix. Sterling Weems, he's his 5'9" point guard. He ends up in Philadelphia. Nico Harrington is the 4th overall pick. Harrington's going to end up being a pretty decent piece in this universe. It's not elite, but not bad. Mateo Delgado has a really great latter part of his career as he starts out in Washington. But then the notable picks we talked about, the All-Stars. Jacob Cuxis is probably the best player in this draft. He went 10th overall. He got traded to Charlotte. Darius Stith makes a fringe All-Star appearance as just a stacked guard roster when he's at Golden State, and Shane Ruffin ends up making a couple All-Stars later in his career. But those are really the big names. Let's move on to the offseason itself, where really not a ton. Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, they're going to re-up in Minnesota. Sabonis re-signs with the Pacers. McCollum staying in Portland in this universe. And that's kind of it. All of the big moves came via trade. So let's move on to the regular season, where plenty of activity continues. The Raptors, they get Capella and Curry from the Nets. We talked about the Nets kind of tearing down. So the Raptors trying to rebuild. They do that there. Brogdon heads back to Milwaukee, and then the Nets and Sixers make another deal. This one sends Aaron Gordon and Marquise Chris to the Nets, and Karis LeVert and Denzel Valentine to the Sixers, as the Sixers are trying to tool and make a run here in the Nets as well, and in the post-trade era. Wrapping up the regular season, the Bucks, they race out to the best record in the Eastern Conference thanks to Beal and Michael Porter Jr. The Hawks finished number 2 with 52 wins. The Nets expectedly struggle, 13 wins, and they send away Clint Capella, as we mentioned. The Sixers don't play bad, but they do miss the playoffs. They are going to end up there as the 9 seed, 3 games back of Detroit. On the Western Conference, the Thunder, this retooled team, they win 65 games. And Nuggets, they won just 44. Injuries plagued them. They had a late push, but they had injuries to Giannis, injuries to Jokic that really hurt them. And then Harden and Luka, 48 wins and a date with the Jazz in the first round. Your award winners, that's Zion. He gets MVP. Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis adds another one. Jalen Suggs has a great resurgent year with the Knicks. Buddy Hield for the Lakers has a great season off the bench. And then Nathan Servin, the 2nd overall pick, is your Rookie of the Year. Looking at all NBA teams, still a pretty as expected. All these are familiar names making the All-Star or the All-NBA teams. You do get Ja going all the way to first team. Cade Cunningham getting a second team now, but this is still the stalwarts of the NBA, still kind of kicking around. Move to the playoffs. Giannis, Jokic, and Murray, they're finally healthy, and they stun the Thunder in 4 games. Again, we're still going to a 5-game first-round series. Zion best the Grizzlies as the Pelicans start to kind of put some things together. The Spurs, they take down the defending champs, finally healthy. Sasha Kasparov takes down Golden State. Luka and Harden still can't get out. This is now 4 first-round exits for the Mavericks as they fall in the opening round to the Utah Jazz, where it's Embiid and it's Donovan Mitchell, where they cruise all the way to the NBA finals appearance. Utah finally getting over that hump, not having to go through the Warriors, the defending champions. Kyrie, they're the conference champions. They get revenge on the Celtics. They're back in the NBA Finals for the second straight year. Heat go down by the Bulls. That puts the future of their future in question. Kevin Durant, an impending free agent. And then you look at those 2024 trades. They paid off. The Pelicans, conference finals. The Jazz, they're in the NBA Finals. Immediate wins for both of those organizations that made some big deals. When we get to the NBA Finals, it's Kyrie Irving supplanting himself as one of the best point guards of this era as the Hawks sweep the Jazz in dominant fashion. Julius Walker goes head-to-head with Embiid. Jaden Springer, Brandon Boston were huge scorers off the bench for a really, really deep Atlanta squad. Embiid started hot, had a good games 3 and 4, but then really struggled down the stretch. And Donovan Mitchell was good, but not great. But you kind of see the age kind of coming in to factor in for Embiid there in the finals. That's our 24-25 wrap-up. We'll head next 25-26.